What is going on, everybody? Welcome into press coverage. I am your host, Wyatt Bertolone. Tonight with me, I've got my friend, Justin Edwards. On this show, of course, we are trying to help you gain an edge in fantasy football. And tonight, we're talking about some of the muddier backfields in the NFL, trying to parse through them. Justin, how are you, and what have you been up to?
Fantastic. Maybe my favorite part of the year. You kind of get into the grind of the regular season, and that's always a blast too. But this kind of unknown season where everyone could be right and everyone could be wrong is
Yeah,
a lot of fun. I like this. I like this time of year.
yeah, it's a really fun time of the year. I mean, we've got our like initial ADPs that come out really for like the big tournaments that we have, right after the NFL draft, and there's a lot there to exploit. A lot changes during this time. Like you said, we're all right, we're all wrong, we're all trying to figure it out, and we're going to try and figure out some of these backfields. The first one, honestly, I think is perhaps the most interesting, which is why I put it here first, and that's the Cowboys, because I don't know, for a couple of years now, the Cowboys, they've been all in, right? But not at the running back position, it seems. This year, we've kind of got the battle between Javonte Williams and Jaydon Blue, I'll say. Miles Sanders is also on the roster. I don't think he's really competing. He's probably just there as a body on this team, a little bit of depth, a little bit of veteran depth. But Javonte, so let's give you some data points on costs. On Underdog, 121 overall, RB38. Over on Fast Draft, Flex 4, his ADP is 60 overall, which essentially means he's not getting drafted in every single draft there. Now, last year for the Broncos, decent amount of opportunities, 12.3 per game, especially involved as a receiver. I believe 5th in targets on the year for running backs, which is pretty astounding, but only 9.3 PPR points per game because, well, not very efficient, not very good, right? Signs a 1-year contract with the Cowboys for $3 million. Not a lot of money. The Cowboys then draft Jaydon Blue in the NFL draft in the 5th round. He's very fast. Ran 4.38 at the combine at pro day, 4.28. Do what you will with that pro day time. Big receiver in college, 42 receptions in his final season. On Underdog, 130.2 RB40, Flex 4 on Fast Draft, also getting basically undrafted there as well. What are you doing with this backfield?
I mean, you want to just avoid it, but you can't do that knowing that this offense could very easily be, top 7 in scoring, at least top 10.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't just avoid this type of backfield. I think I'd rather take the shot on Jaydon Blue just out of these two. Obviously, I think we're probably lockstep that we don't want any Miles Sanders in any sort of format, redraft, best ball, dynasty, whatever. But, is Jaydon Blue just going to be that space back? Is he just going to be the like Jaleel McLaughlin to last year's, I guess this year's Javonte Williams? If you had to lay a bet, I'm sure we would all take Javonte Williams to get more touches here. But like you said, that they were such inefficient touches in 2024. Are they going to suddenly get better here? It's probably a step down in offensive line talent. It's almost guaranteed to be a step down in offensive line talent. Probably maybe a more explosive offense with maybe George Pickens actually adding a second a legitimate wide receiver too there. I don't know. I mean, the ADPs feel fine to me. Like, I don't think I'm reaching here. If I'm taking one in the 11th round, which is pretty much where they're both going, just at different ends of that 11th round, I guess I'm fine with it, honestly. I don't know. What do you if you had to take just one of these guys, who would you, if you only had, I know for a fact you don't only have one team, but pretend you only had one team, who would you take out of these guys?
Yeah, if it has to be one, if you're gonna make me take a player from this backfield, it's gonna be Jaydon Blue. Mostly like he's explosive, maybe some unknown upside there. 5th round pick isn't that exciting. Obviously, this was a really talented running back class, so you can kind of like discount it like slightly, like, well, maybe in other classes he's 4th round pick, maybe even day 2, who knows, because of the speed and pass catching ability. But like, I'm just not excited for the backfield in general. Javonte does not interest me whatsoever. I mean, those are like, if you want to lock in like 8 points per game into your lineup, sure, you can draft Javonte Williams.
It's not a tournament winner unless he scored 16 touchdowns out of nowhere. It's not a tournament winner.
Yeah, hard to believe that would happen. Right. He was given plenty of opportunity to do something with it for Denver last year. And as you said, like, Denver has a really good offensive line. The Cowboys, at this point, their offensive line, not as strong as it has been in years past. They're making some moves to try and get it back to where it was, but it's not quite as good as it has been in years past. Yeah, what's Javonte really going to do? Maybe Javonte locks down the third down role just because he's a better pass blocker, and he gets enough just check downs to get there as
Yeah.
a very low end RB2. But Javonte is a what do you win when you win type of scenario for me.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. There's no better way to put it. It's like
what's he doing for you?
it's like maybe he's a redraft guy. I don't see a scenario we would be taking him in any of these flex 4 type drafts, at least the way they're set up right now. We're not. I mean, that's only 6 rounds, right? I'm not taking. Not taking either of these guys in the 6th round unless. I mean, I don't know. One of them goes down in the preseason and Miles Sanders retires and they don't do anything. Maybe we're thinking about one of these guys in the 9th round or something.
Yeah, and the other thing for me is like I know that the counter argument to Javonte is well the touches have to go somewhere, right? And there have just been too many occasions where we've said that about somebody, and that player eventually gets replaced because they're just so bad, like they're just an inefficient player. Teams will, yes, they will give the touches to somebody in a backfield because they have to with their running backs. But when a running back is bad, they'll just start trying out other people. It can't get worse. Sometimes they just try out. Maybe Miles Sanders does get in a game here. Like he might start a game this season for the Cowboys because it'd be so bad otherwise.
Right. I mean, they picked up Javonte for, as you said, a $3 million contract. Why couldn't they just pick up another free agent if they don't like what Javonte looks like come July? There's what's saying they won't give someone else a $2 million contract and they come in and they get 45% of the backfield touches.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good point. While we're talking about it, J.K. Dobbins, Nick Chubb, do you think they're signing either of those players?
I mean,
or potentially,
why not? It's not going to cost him anything. Can you imagine, if Chubb is back to, I don't know, 70% of what he used to be, and the Cowboys take him? It would be kind of exciting, honestly. I'd take some stabs at Nick Chubb if he signs here in a couple months with Dallas.
It's really interesting. I've kind of been on the train that I think Chubb is just done. Honestly, like it was really tough to watch him last year, and I know like it's another year removed from the knee injury, but he's older. It's the second devastating knee injury that's happened to him.
Massive,
career. So like I just don't know if it's there anymore. Dobbins interests me still, just because like he was legit kind of good for the Chargers. For stretches last year. Still missed some time, of course, because that's J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, but we could have guessed that.
Yeah, but I have a feeling he's kind of just holding out, waiting for a team who needs him, like who legit just needs someone to come in and soak up some touches. That might be the Cowboys. If J.K. Dobbins goes there, I'd draft him out of these three. Still, I'd probably still mix in Blue like a little bit. I think no matter what, I'll probably mix in Blue. Jaydon Blue's price would have to rise pretty high for me to not at least mix him in just a tiny bit, just because who knows.
The point. What do you win when you win? You could win a handful of top 10 finishes out of Jaydon Blue. That's what you could win with Jaydon Blue. That's very unlikely that you're going to get that with Javonte Williams at any point this season, regardless of what the backfield shares split.
Yeah, maybe Javonte Williams gets a Jerome Bettis type stat line, 3 carries, 5 yards, couple touchdowns, and he makes top 10 that week.
Yeah,
but
we'll be looking silly when that happens. Yeah.
Listen, we're talking about these players, trying to find some breakthroughs in these backfields. But before we talk about the next pair from the Giants, we're going to hear from the Podfather real quick about the Breakout Finder app.
Oh, the Breakout Finder is live. That's right. A lot of breakout models out there, but we started it all. The best and brightest minds coming up with the definitive breakout probabilities for running backs, wide receivers in this rookie class. It's $5 to download the wide receiver breakouts, the running back breakouts, but also proprietary stats available only on the Breakout Finder, including dynamic score for wide receivers, teammate score, level of competition. You can access the full stat database, plus many advanced metrics from Player Profiler, all there, right there on your phone, in the App Store, on Google Play, and that 2025 class is live.
We're back here on Press Coverage. Wyatt here with Justin Edwards from 4for4, talking about some of these muddy backfields in the NFL. The next one we've got here are the Giants, Cam Skattebo and Tyrone Tracy. So Skattebo, 98.9 is RB31 on Underdog. Flex 4, he's got that 60 ADP over on Fast Draft. But I think he's starting to rise a little bit there. He might actually start to get drafted. Tyrone Tracy, on the other hand, 103.6 RB overall in RB32 on Underdog. He's been falling a little bit. They've kind of switched places over there. Flex 4 ADP on Fast Draft, 57.13. Was getting drafted, starting to fall now after the NFL draft. So last year, the Giants draft Tracy in the 5th round. Ends up having a great rookie year, 10.7 PPR points per game. But after week 4, when he really kind of took over, Devin Singletary picked up a small injury, opened the door for Tracy to step in. He does well, 13.2 PPR points per game from that point forward after week 4. So looked good. Had some issues, fumbling, that kind of thing. Some you could call them rookie mistakes, maybe. So not too big of a surprise that the Giants would go and draft another running back to add this backfield. That's Cam Skattebo here, who had a lot of day 2 buzz, ends up falling to the 4th round. Again, I've said this before already on the show. Might say it again later. Who knows? But this running back class was so good. I think some of these, places where they got drafted, maybe a little bit later than they would in any other running back class. But Skattebo was incredible in his final season in college. Over 2,300 total yards, 45 receptions, 103 missed tackles forced in that final college season. Just incredible, dude. But we know his.
Those deal, are Javonte Williams numbers.
They truly are. But we know his deal, right? This dude is a bruiser through and through. Will make the first guy miss almost every single time. Not a lot of breakaway speed though. Now, with that said, he's pretty bursty. We saw some really good jumping numbers from him at the combine that really show some of the explosiveness, but we know this guy's probably not running a 50-yard touchdown in any time soon. What do you think between these two running backs, though? Because I think they're a pretty good pairing. I think they can work off of each other well, but can one of them ascend beyond the other? What do you think?
Yeah, this truly the Diet Right version of the Sonic and Knuckles in Detroit. I mean, they do complement each other really well, though. And I mean, even if Skattebo is not breaking off 50-yard rushes, he's probably still going to add some more electricity than Devin Singletary is at this point in Devin Singletary's career. It's kind of hard to. It hurts me to talk about because I was pretty much on Tyrone Tracy last year, even as that 5th round rookie, and I think that this is certainly not a death knell to his value or anything like that. But I think a lot of that early down work is going to be usurped here by the rookie Cam. I think he's probably immediately going to be the goal line back. You'd have to figure. I still think there's value in each of these guys, though. Can't imagine they're going to take Tracy off the field on 3rd downs for Skattebo. Even though Cam did have a lot of receptions throughout his collegiate career, Tyrone Tracy was, I believe, a former wide receiver up until his last 2 seasons in college, right? So I think the role should be split pretty evenly here, where we got early down Cam for a majority of the time and the 3rd down Tracy for the majority of the time. I think it just depends on what you think about the Giants offense. And is there going to be enough to go around where both these guys can be RB3s for your team? The offensive line in Denver and Dallas, New York's pretty good. It just depends on if Andrew Thomas is on the field or not. I think I'd rather have Tracy here just in a 1v1, but not super excited for either of them to be quite honest.
Is the preference to Tracy because of that possible 3rd downs you think he's going to have?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much that, and just a little bit more electric with the ball. I don't know how many 50-yard rushes he's going to break in this offense either, but if one of them is going to do it, it's presumably going to be Tracy.
Yeah, I think this one's really interesting too, because while I do think they work off of each other really well, I think it's also kind of hard to project actually how many opportunities each will get. I think it's safe to say Skattebo has the goal line. I think that's really safe. If anything, amongst the two of them, that's safe to say. Everything else I think is kind of up in the air. I would expect Cam Skattebo to get most of the early down rushes if I had to pick between the two. 3rd downs, I kind of side Tracy just because he's got a year in the NFL of learning how to do that a little bit and learn how to pass block. Cam Skattebo, for as good of a receiver as he is not a good pass blocker at all. So I don't know if he's actually going to play in third downs. Do they mix in him as just a receiver though, like specifically design targets for him? I think it'd be smart. That after Malik Neighbors, it's not like they've got some good receivers, so it'd make sense to get these running backs involved a lot. It's tough. It's tough. Like the way things are trending right now, Skattebo is climbing, Tracy is falling, and as that happens, I'm going to be starting to get more attracted to Tracy's price. Where it is right now, 1-for-1, I'm kind of leading Skattebo just because I think he has the goal line role. Touchdowns are hard to predict, I understand, but touchdowns drive fantasy points a lot. If things are kind of even, but he's getting the touchdowns out of the two, obviously Skattebo will be scoring a little bit more. But if Tracy's price just continues to fall, I don't know how much it can fall, but if it does continue to fall, I'm going to want to draft him more because I do think it's possible that he could be the 1A to the 1B, getting more opportunities than Skattebo.
Yeah. I mean, at least for this year, and obviously in these drafts, that's what we're concerned about is this year. No kidding. But I mean, getting Tracy, if he does keep falling, like you're saying, like if I'm getting Tyrone Tracy in like the 10th round, I'm absolutely gobbling that up. I'm here for that. Opportunity cost, if he's going to possibly lead the backfield in touches outright and receptions. But yeah, as you said, touchdowns are 6 points. So if Cam is taking all of the goal line work, it kind of makes it a little bit of a tough situation.
Yeah, weirdly, despite the Giants' offense being so bad for so long and probably still to be kind of bad this year, it's still a backfield I want to invest in just because I think there are going to be a lot of opportunities given to these two just in general over the course of the season because I think they have to, just based on their weapons.
They're so cheap right now too. I mean, that's a good place to just take a stab at one of them and just hope for the best.
Yeah, and somewhat anecdotally, like Jackson Dart, one of his biggest things coming into the NFL, and I know like he's probably not going to start the first couple games, but I do think he's going to start at some point. I think he starts earlier than later, just because first round QBs they play. That's how it normally goes. But he can't read the field. They say he's 1 to 2 reads and then he runs. Well, what's Brian Dable going to do with him? Throw to Malik Neighbors, check down or run. So I imagine he's going to be checking down these running backs a good bit.
So you're saying you're all in on Theo Johnson this year?
I don't know if I would go that far, though. Like while we're on this subject, he goes 200s on underdog. As a late tight end, you're going 3 tight ends. I could see him, being a target for you in some builds, but not that interested there.
That's fair.
All right, let's move to our third backfield of the day. We're going to talk about the Patriots, where they just drafted TreVeyon Henderson. They also, of course, still have Rhamondre Stevenson there. So on underdog, Henderson 63.2 overall as RB21. On Fast Draft Flex 4, he's going at 54.03, currently climbing over there. Rhamondre on underdog right now, 130.2 overall, RB41. Obviously, has been falling a lot since the NFL draft. On Flex 4, over on Fast Draft, currently not getting drafted. So Rhamondre Stevenson, his time with the Patriots, started off being this massive value for us coming out of nowhere. Maybe I shouldn't say out of nowhere, 4th round pick for the Patriots. There was a path there for him and he ended up getting it, doing some decent things for them. But last year, he just looked like the worst he has the entire time he's been in the NFL, I would say. Lowest yards per carry and per reception in his career. Fumbled 7 times, which was a career high in 2024.
It's too many.
Arguably 6 or 7 too many. At one point was supposed to get benched for Antonio Gibson, but apparently they kind of just forgot to actually bench him, but they said he was going to get benched for Gibson. It's like anytime you get benched for Antonio Gibson at this point in your career, it doesn't look very good. He's in the second year of a contract extension, but honestly, I think this was an extension where the Patriots were in a place where they had a very large amount of salary left open in their salary cap, and teams have to hit a salary cap floor at a certain point. You start to see some weird contracts like that happen where they pay a player who's maybe a good player, but not one that you'd think the extension they did. And I think Rhamondre might have been one of them. But then we've got TreVeyon Henderson, who was awesome for Ohio State when he was healthy. I will say when he was healthy, because the second and third years in college were kind of marred by injury. Came out onto the scene as a freshman and just blew up college football. And everybody was like, this guy's going to be RB1 when he comes out. Deals with a couple injuries. Then Ohio State brings over Quinshad Judkins, and they kind of split the backfield. I think they kind of bought him to help them win a national championship, which why wouldn't you? But TreVeyon Henderson in college, 45.5% breakaway run percentage over his career, averaged 10.9 yards per reception in college, ends up getting drafted top of the second round by the Patriots. Big breakaway runner and receiver, awesome as a pass blocker, possibly the best in the class, possibly the best we've seen in a few years at running back. Maybe not the best between the tackles, but I think this is a running back who, can score from anywhere on the field and is going to be a weapon as a receiver. Now, obviously, ADP say this is TreVeyon Henderson's backfield, but you talk to people on Twitter, and that doesn't seem to always be the vibe when you talk to people. Do you think there's reason to believe Rhamondre Stevenson is going to hold back TreVeyon Henderson? Are you in on Henderson? How are you feeling about this backfield?
I'm in on Henderson with the caveat that I think that, yes, Rhamondre Stevenson will hold back from what we're hoping TreVeyon Henderson will be right out of the gate. This feels very much like a scenario where we are going to be consistently annoyed with how much run Rhamondre Stevenson is getting. And he has been just a plotting, very terrible, sorry, Rhamondre and your family, a very gross back to watch for a couple of years now. I mean, he's not creating anything after contact. He's just going down. I mean, he really is just truly plotting out there. I still think he probably is going to get more run than we're going to like. But I mean, on the other hand, if I am wrong, or if we are wrong that Rhamondre is going to get any run outside of just giving TreVeyon some breath and taking some between the tackles hits so that the rookie doesn't have to. Who else is on the Patriots? Kind of like we were talking about with the Giants. They need someone who's going to add some explosiveness to that offense.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people in New England who can do that, and it's been that way for a number of years now. It certainly wasn't Antonio Gibson, and it hasn't been the previous 7 receivers they've taken over the last few drafts. So, it would be nice to get him out there and give Drake May some sort of electric playmaker with the ball in his hands. With all that said, I'm totally fine with taking TreVeyon Henderson in underdog in these fast drafts. In those origin drafts, I like taking him. Obviously, he's going 4th overall. Go figure. I like the guy going 4th overall. I'd like him on my redraft team. I also think I could dabble with some Rhamondre in my portfolio if I'm really going running back thirsty on some builds.
Here's the thing: at their current ADPs, I actually like them both a good amount. I love TreVeyon Henderson, probably my most drafted player this offseason, just across everything, Dynasty, underdog, fast draft, across the board. I'm just a big fan of him as a player. I love explosive players like this, kind of in the Jahmyr Gibbs kind of archetype. Not saying he's going to be your Jahmyr Gibbs, everybody. Don't worry. I'm just saying he is in that kind of archetype of player where,
I wrote it down. Maybe. You said Gibbs.
You know what? Put it down. He may only be a 15, 18 opportunity type of player a game, but I think a lot of that's going to come in the passing game. I think he's going to be very explosive in the NFL. And as you said, the Patriots are weak on weapons. I think they need Henderson in the passing game for that reason. I think he's going to lock that up from day one because of how good of a pass blocker he is and how good of a receiver he is. I do think Rhamondre is going to get some carries in this backfield. I think this might be a 55-45 type of split. I just think Henderson's going to get so many of the high value touches that he's going to still be able to pay off this aggressive ADP already, despite him going into a backfield where he is in a legit split. I expect him to be in a legit split, and I'm still really excited about who he is and what he's going to be for this offense, just because of how explosive he is, the type of player he is, how much he's going to get involved in the passing game. But Rhamondre, in his own right, at his cost, he's kind of just become one of the best handcuffs on the board, and he might actually have some week-to-week value. If this offense kind of takes off under Drake May, which I think it can.
It's in the realm of possibilities, honestly.
Yeah. That's one of the secrets to winning in fantasy football year in and year out is finding the underpriced offenses that are about to break out, finding them before they break out. CJ Stroud's rookie year, when everybody was like, Texans, no way, I'm not drafting Texans.
Yeah, look at these wide receivers. Who the heck is Nico Collins?
Right, exactly. That's just one of the keys to winning fantasy football is finding those offenses, and the Patriots, I think, can be one. I mean, I said TreVeyon Henderson is one of probably my most drafted player. Like Drake May is not that far behind that because I'm just really excited for him and in this offense in general.
What do you think about just since we talked about him? Would you rather be clicking on Javonte Williams or just Rhamondre Stevenson straight up?
It's a really good question. I'm going to say Rhamondre because I think he has a higher ceiling in his outcome because if something happens to TreVeyon, he's going to get his 3-down roll again, and it might only be 12 points per game or whatever, but I'll take that from where we're drafting him. Javonte has looked even worse than Rhamondre, and in that offense, like I can't see him getting a 3-down roll. Like even with, like Jaydon Blue gets injured, like I don't think that Javonte has a 3-down roll. I think Miles Sanders starts getting in there. We might see some Deuce Vaughn. Who knows? I don't know. But like Javonte,
kind of like what we were talking about. I think if it was down, they probably would just go get another free agent. That's when J.K. Dobbins is absolutely coming to town.
Right. Yeah. Like despite Javonte probably being RB1 on his depth chart, I feel better about Rhamondre Stevenson's role and what his role can be this season.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. We've got one more backfield to talk about, and that's the Chargers, where this offseason they brought on Najee Harris over in free agency, signed a 1-year, $5.25 million contract that can be worth up to $9 million with some incentives. Now, when they made that move, I don't know about you, but me personally, I thought they were all going to draft running backs because they need the depth. I did not expect Hampton on the first round. I thought if anywhere they were going to spend high draft capital at wide receiver, they'd end up just doing both at drafting Trey Harris in the second. But they drafted Omarion Hampton, 22nd overall. Now on underdog, Hampton, 43.9 overall, RB 15th. Fast draft flex 4, 42.49 overall. He's climbing there. Najee, 110.7 on underdog at RB 35, obviously falling over there. Also falling on flex draft or fast draft for the flex 4, where he's now at 57.67 overall. Najee has been the picture of consistency since coming into the NFL, at least 1,000 yards in all 4 seasons to start his career. Has never missed a game in the NFL. He is a player who you can rely on all downs, but isn't necessarily explosive. Not going to get too many big plays going for your team. Hampton, I would say, is kind of like a souped up Najee Harris, another guy who's can be used in all areas of the game. Good in pass pro, good as a receiver, good between the tackles, can run outside, but he actually has real athleticism to him. He was at North Carolina. Last 2 seasons in college were incredible. At least 1,700 total yards and 16 total touchdowns in each of them. Like I said, he's big and fast, 94th percentile speed score. This, for me, I'll just say, before I even throw it to you, I want to get this out of the way right away. I don't think Najee Harris is anything to Omarion Hampton. I think Omarion Hampton squashes him. This is his backfield. What do you think?
No, I think you're absolutely right. And like you were saying, there was like that 2-3 week span where we were like, Najee Harris is like the RB20 this year.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he got a full month. And we were like, oh, wait. Never mind. Not in this scenario. If they're going 4th or 5th round running back, maybe we could hold on to the Najee shares. But yeah, I don't think there's going to be much of a fight here. It's also got to feel weird. Even Najee himself, on a personal level, he's like, I'm going to the Chargers under the Harbaugh. I mean,
yeah,
I'm going to get like 330 carries this year. And then April rolls around. He's like, son of a.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
brutal.
I think it's absolutely Omarion here. He's probably one of the biggest. I didn't look at like the pre-draft and post-draft underdog, but I imagine he's one of the biggest risers among the entire rookie class because of where he landed. I mean, I guess he could have landed in Denver as well, and he would have probably had
so he didn't actually rise that much because he was being projected to go to Denver in the first round.
That's right. RJ Harvey. How much did he jump? We can talk about that another time. I imagine RJ Harvey jumped a ton on underdog.
Oh, big.
Because everyone just had Omarion going there.
Yeah, RJ Harvey went from like 150s to now he's in the 50s. So yeah.
Oh Jesus, yeah, that'll do. Yeah, I mean, what is Najee's role going to be here? Is he just going to be like the 1A for the first 3 weeks of the season, and then it's just wheels up for Omarion, or is he just going to be the? I mean, he's not a change of pace back unless you're like down throttling, I guess. I don't see Omarion not being a 3-down back for a lot of the 2025 season.
Yeah, I think like maybe the first couple weeks it's like a 50-50 split just to get Hampton's feet wet. But I think it's gonna be something similar to like Jonathan Taylor's rookie year, where it was like, yeah, there was a few weeks of this where he's not getting like all the touches, and then like once he's comfortable, like it was just his backfield from that point forward, and he was doing his thing. Because you're right, like what does Najee Harris do better than Omarion Hampton at this point? I don't know.
Locker room guy. I don't know. Maybe he's a big locker room guy.
Yeah. You know, like I'll give Najee, he's probably better in pass pro at this point, just in the NFL. Like it's probably going to take a minute, you know, Hampton to catch up to the speed of the NFL and pass pro. I'll give him that. So we might see Najee Harris on some third downs. That'd be Najee Harris on third downs might even last a little bit into the season, but still, like as a receiver, which one of these guys do you want to be designing targets for or actually putting out there to catch passes? It's Hampton.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm sure Najee will take some checkdowns from time to time, but I mean, yeah, I don't think you're going to be drawing up wheel routes for Najee Harris at this point in his career when you could just do it with Omarion Hampton.
Yeah. Now, with that said, I don't mind Najee's price at this point. It's kind of starting to be a similar situation when I said with Rhamondre, where it's like, well, he's starting to get in the point where he's just like one of the better handcuffs, if not the best handcuff available. You might be able to start him for a couple weeks to start the season if you're in a 0 RB type of draft and you just want somebody who think has a role to start out the season. You could probably put Najee in your lineup and be fine. But then after that, you know, he's probably just a better handcuff than most of the people out there. But we'll see how far do you think his ADP falls? Actually, where do you think he'll go?
What's that? The 10th round? How's math work?
Yeah, that is the beginning of the 10th round. 110 overall and underdog.
Like, hold on, divide by 12, carry the 2. I mean, is Najee like a 12th round guy? I would love to take Najee if he falls all the way down there. That might be a little rough.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think he gets that far down.
Like he's not going to fall below. I mean, well, is he going to? He'll fall below Javonte Williams possibly, if we were just assuming that Javonte is going to be the running back 1.
He might be in the same tier, you know, ADP wise, Javonte Williams and Jaydon Blue. All right, let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah,
you're on the clock. All 3 of them are available. It's the end of the 10th round, going into the 11th round. Which one of those 3 are you taking? Najee, Javonte, Jaydon Blue.
In like a tournament environment?
Sure.
I mean, I might just take him in this reverse order here. I might take wait, you said Najee, Javonte, and Jaydon?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think I'd take Najee, Jaydon, Javonte in that order.
I'm with you. I think I'm with you there. Jaydon maybe has the biggest ceiling without an injury happening around him.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
Najee has a little bit of a role to begin with, and he also has the injury contingent upside if anything happens to Hampton, where now he's just a 3-down back. Probably the biggest ceiling if there's an injury around him out of those 3, I'd probably say.
You don't think they'll just hand the job to Kamani Vidal?
I know there's plenty of people out there who would love that to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know if it will.
You're right.
All right. Let's make it a little bit more interesting real quick, and then we're going to get out of here. Let's throw Rhamondre in that group because, again, he's kind of in that area. He's a little bit further back than those other 3, but let's say they're all available for you. Who would you take?
Man, why am I so high on Najee? I still say probably Najee. Najee, Jaydon, Rhamondre, and Javonte Williams pulling up the rear.
You nailed it. Perfect answer. That's the way I would do it. If you're taking anything from this episode, it's I would not be drafting Javonte Williams.
Yeah, we might be a little harsh on Javonte here, but and the proof's in the pudding. I don't know what that means, but the proof is in the pudding.
It's unfortunate. I love Javonte coming into the NFL, but that knee injury has just really sapped everything from him, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, Justin, this was
Are
a great time.
Yeah.
Well, what do you got for me before we get out of here?
Oh, nothing really. I was just gonna start talking about different backfields like a psycho, but nothing really. This was a blast. Thanks for having me on to talk about these.
Yeah, you can come on again. You pick the backfields that time, and we'll talk about them again.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Before we get out here, let everyone know what you got going on, where to find you.
Over at 4for4, it's kind of like, I wouldn't say down season, but there's like small pockets of content coming out here and there. But my offensive line rankings should be up sometime in June, next couple weeks. So that'll be over at 4for4. And then here, if you're watching on the YouTube, if you're looking for like real small snippets of football, 60-second football advice, head over to Ask Us FF or Ask Us Fantasy Football. It's Sal and I's little endeavor to make a bunch of YouTube shorts and have some fun.
Well, if anyone out there is not following Justin on Twitter yet, you can do so at Justin_Redwords. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, you can do so at WyattB_FF. Make sure you are liking and subscribing to everything on Player Profiler, checking out Fast Draft, getting on there, and drafting some unique fantasy football teams. If you haven't tried it out yet, I really, really advise doing so. It's a really cool way to play fantasy football. But that's it for this show. I'll see you. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.